Hello students, good morning. This is the part 3 of the French Revolution chapter. In the part 1 of the chapter, we talked about a general and a brief introduction about the chapter. In the next video, we discussed the detail, the very first part of the chapter, the French society during the late 18th century. Talking about the French society, we discussed various things about the society of estates, the prevalent feudal system, the struggle to survive, etc. For a quick recap of part 1, that is, how was the French society during the late 18th century, you may look back on the second video of the chapter. In today's class, we will be talking about the second subpart of the chapter, the outbreak of revolution. For the convenience of understanding, we will be discussing this part of the chapter in a series of events that led to the outbreak of the revolution. It all started when King Louis XVI wanted to increase the taxes to cover the debts of France. In France of the old regime, the king could not impose the new taxes on his will alone. So he called a meeting of the Estates General, which included the people from all three estates. It was the 5th of May 1789 when the meeting of Estates General was called. There were 300 members from each, the clergy class and the noble class, and they were sitting in rows facing each other, while the 600 members of the third estate were standing behind. Also, the women and the peasants who did not own a property were not allowed entry into this estates general. At that time, the voting principle was one vote from each estate. That means the clergy people had one vote, the nobility also had one vote, and similarly, the third estate people, the working class, they also had only one vote. Because of this voting principle, the third estate could never get a fair deal. So, the third estate proposed a new voting principle of one person, one vote. This voting principle said that each member had one vote and the vote does not belong to a estate, but every person has an individual right to vote. The king rejected this proposal, and so the third estate moved out of the assembly in protest. This third estate, after moving out of the assembly, after months, on 20 June 1789, assembled in the indoor tennis court of the ground of Versailles. There, they declared themselves a national assembly and took a vow. A vow means a promise. They took a promise to not move out until they frame a constitution for France. By this time, this National Assembly was busy at Versailles drafting a constitution. A simultaneous situation occurred about which we talked in the very first introduction class of the chapter. Okay, let us understand this. By this time, when the National Assembly was busy, that we discussed about the June 20, 1789 situation, right? National Assembly was busy at the Versailles drafting a constitution, and at the same time, the situation in France was of a bad harvest, due to which there were rising prices. The rising prices meant that the poor people could no longer afford food grains, and this made the crowds very, very angry. Also, in addition, apart from the crowded, angry crowds, there spread a rumor that the king would soon order the army to open fire upon the citizens. And then all the women and men, they gathered in front of the town hall and they stormed the Bastille prison on 14th July 1789. Now we understand, students, that why was Bastille prison actually stormed. because it was the series of events that led to so much anger among the crowds that they actually stormed all the government buildings and also the Bastille prison that symbolized despotism. Okay, students? There were similar rumors that spread, which led to the further attacks by the angry crowd on the kings, the residents, and the castles. These attacks made Louis XVI realize that he now has to give power to the National Assembly, and he does this on 4th August 1789. On 4th August 1789, the Assembly abolished the feudal system of taxes and obligations. The land with the rich people was confiscated, that means it was taken away from them, and all the privileges, by privileges we mean advantages, all the advantages given to the clergy and the nobility people were abolished. These were the series of events that led to the outbreak of revolution and France becoming a constitutional monarchy. In the next class, we will be talking about how did France become a constitutional monarchy. There is a home assignment I am giving to you all. Complete the reading of the chapter till page number 9. Also, observe all the pictures and boxes clearly and try to frame your own notes either on sheets or in your notebook. Try to be creative and use some colorful pens that will not make the notes boring. So, is that clear, everyone? So that will be all for the day. Thank you and have a nice day.